Negative imagination is thinking about things we don't want to happen that cause enormous amounts of stress and distress. We say worry creates fear, which can be described as fantasized experiences appearing real. Fantasized experiences appearing real, because here's some of the discoveries that they've done with regard to worry. Worry is a sustained form of fear caused by indecision. It's a sustained form of fear caused by indecision. In other words, you're not in, you're not out. You do it, you don't do it. And so the only real cure for worry is decisive action. Get busy, take action, move forward. You see, the mind can only hold one thing at a time, positive or negative. If you get so busy working on your situation, you don't have time to worry anymore. So a study was done on the things that people worry about. 40% of the worries people had never happened. 30% of the things were in the past for which nothing could be done. 12% were needless worries about health, and 10% were petty worries about little things. Did I park the car right? Did I, leave my stuff in the car? Did I bring everything for the seminar? Only 8% of the worries were about something substantial, and of those, 4% were out of their control. So basically what we find is that 96% of what you worry about is a waste of emotion. There's a businessman who never worried about anything, and they said, "Why don't you worry?" He said, "I do worry." He said, "I worry for 1 hour every Saturday morning. And what I do during the week is when I think of something that I'm worried about, I write it on a piece of paper, and I put it into this box. And then I don't think about it till Saturday morning. At 9 o'clock on Saturday morning, I go and get out the box, and I just go through all the things I was supposed to worry about during the week. And surprise, surprise, by Saturday morning, 80–90% of them have disappeared. So he says, "I'm going to worry, just not now. I'm just going to worry. I'm going to have a worry time on Saturday morning." And as a result, he never ends up worrying. And you should do the same thing. Just take a little box or an envelope. Whenever you think of something you're worried about, write it on the envelope and say, "I'll have worry time on that later." But you'll notice if you get really busy, you forget to worry. You can be busy all day long and you forget to worry all day long. You think, "Oh my God, it's 5 o'clock. I haven't worried about that all day." So to eliminate worry, live one day at a time. That's one of the great rules. Live one day at a time. Get the facts. Before you start worrying, there's a rule that says, "Just for today, I will remain calm. Just for today, I will not think about the things that make me upset. Just for today." And anybody can live one day at a time. In Dale Carnegie's famous book, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, the very first day, he talks about living in day-tight compartments. The very first chapter, he says, the key to not worrying is to live one day at a time. And don't worry about things that may happen in the distant future. In the Bible, it said, "Sufficient unto the day are the cares thereof." So just be concerned about what's happening today, which is under your control. The second is to get the facts. Many times we get upset or angry about something or we worry about something because we don't have the facts. We have a half fact or we have a partial fact. And so the first thing you do is ask what exactly has happened. And you ask questions. And how has this happened? And what is the situation? And what's going on? And you find it is impossible to worry while you're asking questions and trying to get more information. So you focus on asking questions. And you ask several people, what has happened here? Until you have a very clear idea. And very often you'll find there's nothing to worry about. Very often you'll find that what you thought you needed to be concerned about is really not a problem at all. In fact, you may have even had the wrong facts when you started worrying about it. The third thing you can do is use the worry buster technique. Now, the worry buster technique is one of the greatest techniques ever discovered. It's a life changer. It changes people's thinking forever. It's certainly been very helpful to me. You define the worry situation clearly in writing. So let us say that you're having severe financial problems. Then write down clearly, my problem is that I need X number of dollars by May 31st, and I only have X number of dollars, so I'm this many dollars short. In other words, get clarity about the worry situation. Many people are worried about something, but it's very vague and turbulent in the back of their mind. So when you're forced to think on paper, think on paper, think on paper, 50% of all worries are cured when you write down what you're worried about in the first place. If you're working with other people and you have 3 or 4 people in a discussion and you're all worried about something, you say, all right, exactly what is it that we are worried about? All 4 will have a different definition. So all 4 of you are trying to solve a problem situation, but none of you are really clear about what it is until you write it down. Once everybody agrees with the definition, often the solution just pops out. The second thing that you do with the worry buster is determine the worst possible outcome of the situation. We call this the WPO, worst possible outcome. What is the worst thing that can possibly happen as a result of this worry situation? And whatever it is, you say, well, it's something you can live with. If that's the worst possible thing that can happen, no matter what, well, then what you do is you say, all right, well, if that happens, it happens. And so number 3 is you resolve to accept the worst should it occur. We run out of money by the end of the month, or I could die from an incurable illness, or the house will burn to the ground, or something else. So you say, okay, if it does happen, then I will accept it. And it's interesting, resistance to a negative situation is the major cause of stress. Once you say, okay, if it happens, it happens. The interesting thing is, it's like deflating a balloon, is once you resolve to accept the worst, all the tension goes away. You don't have any tension, and your mind clears and goes calm. Okay, the business goes broke, it won't kill me. If the house burns down, we get another house. If they lose all our money, we lose all our money. In other words, just accept it. And then, number 4, begin immediately to improve upon the worst. They teach this, by the way, in the universities. They call it the mini-max regret analysis. They say minimize the maximum possible regret. And so business people are taught, when they make a decision, is to say, what is the worst thing that can possibly happen here, and how can we minimize the maximum? How can we minimize the very worst thing? So the worry buster is very powerful. Whenever you find yourself worried, say, wait a minute, what am I worried about? What's the worst possible outcome? What's the WPO here? And if you want to help other people, there's a wonderful observation. We say you become what you think about, you also become what you teach. And one of the fastest ways to internalize these ideas so that you think this way is to teach other people. When they have a situation of concern, say exactly what it is that you are worried about. And then what's the worst that could possibly happen? And so if that were to happen, would it kill you? If the answer is no, so now what could you do to improve upon the worst? So begin immediately to improve upon the worst. And sometimes by simply facing it squarely, you can solve the worry situation quickly. All right, worry is a form of negative goal setting. It's setting goals for things that you absolutely don't want to happen. So if you're really worried about something, actually you're setting up a force field of energy to attract that into your life. There are some people who seem to always have bad luck. They seem to always have difficulties in their lives. But when you talk to them for 5 minutes, you know why. Because that's all they talk about. All they think about is possible negative things that could happen. Or negative things that have already happened that they can't do anything about, which they just keep rehashing. Worry is a sustained form of fear caused by indecision. One of the most powerful techniques which we talked about is decisiveness. And the only real antidote to worry is purposeful action. So what I want you to do is use the law of substitution. The law of substitution says get so busy working on your goals that you don't have time to worry. And the interesting thing is that if you get so busy working on a goal, minimizing the worst that can happen, soon you reach the point where you just don't worry anymore. Remember, worry is something you probably learned from a parent. One of your parents taught you to worry because they worried all the time. And they worried about little things and big things and little things and big things. And you grew up with a worldview that worrying is what you do when you're an adult. And the other thing is, the higher your self-esteem, the more you like yourself, the less you worry about things. People who worry about things think that if something goes wrong, it's a reflection on them. Something fails or it doesn't work out. And you have to say, no, if things just don't work out, it's not a reflection on you. Just because you fail when you try something, which is much better than trying nothing, doesn't mean that you're a failure. It means that you're a learner. One last point with regard to worry or negativity of any kind. Vince Lombardi once wrote these wonderful words. He said, "Fatigue doth make cowards of us all." And if we get really tired or worn out, especially physically tired or emotionally tired because we're in an emotionally stressful situation, and you get worn out, everything becomes exaggerated. You become more worried about small worries, you become angrier about small irritations, you become more depressed about reversals, you become fatalistic and think about quitting. So sometimes the very best thing you can possibly do is to just shut it all off and get a good night's sleep. Just go to bed early and just get a good night's sleep, and just sleep 8 or 9 or 10 or 12 hours. Everybody's had the experience where they just say, I don't have to get up tomorrow morning. I'm just going to sleep until I can't sleep anymore. You sleep 10 hours. You can hardly believe it. And then all of those things that were bothering you the day before, well, they weren't really that important. So sometimes it's really important to get lots and lots of rest. Jewish religion, there's what is called a Sabbath. And it's been one of my favorite concepts for years. There was a wonderful book written on it by a Jewish scholar about the Sabbath. And a Sabbath is they stop work at 6 o'clock on Friday, and then they take all of Saturday as the Sabbath, and they don't do anything. They don't work, they don't catch up on their books, they don't even do anything intense. They just relax, spend time with the family, maybe even go for a walk, go to a movie and so on. And it keeps going for 36 hours. It goes till 6 o'clock Sunday morning. And so what that means is you get 2 really good sleeps. And you'll find that if after that 36 hours, the whole world looks different. You're much more relaxed, you're more positive, you see more possibilities, you're more creative, you see things that you can do, you have the energy to take actions and so on. So sometimes if you get really tired or if you get burned out emotionally because of a stressful situation, the smartest thing you can do is nothing. Just relax, just back off and get lots and lots of sleep. It'll really help you.